Hi, I wanted to share my used bookstore haul. My local used bookstore was having what they called a Christmas in July sale. They had basically no room in their back room, and it got to the point where a lot of these books weren't even getting out onto the floor. And that seems to be a fairly typical problem of used bookstores. And so they wanted to just take a bunch of these books, sell them fairly cheaply out in the parking lot, and get rid of them. And their store was open normally too, so you could go in there, and they were having a buy two get one free sale in the store as well. And you had the deals outside, buy two get one free. Normal size paperbacks were $2. Harlequins were 50 cents, things like that. And then Saturday they had buy one get one free, and the sale inside was still the same. But and I had really planned on going to it, and I asked my husband, "Can I go?" He's like, "Well, I mean, I can't really stop you." I was like, "Well, I won't spend that much money." He's like, "I don't really, it's not the money that's the problem. It's how many books you bring home." So he didn't really want me to bring more books home. I mean, we have room for the books, but yeah, I always tend to buy a lot of books. But I saw on Facebook, because I follow them on Facebook, that they were asking for volunteers. And if you volunteer, you get a gift certificate based on how many hours you've worked. And they said that it was going to be $5 per hour that you worked. I wound up working 4 hours on Friday and 5.5 hours on Saturday. So I wound up getting $48 in gift certificate from them. So that's why I bought so many books. I bought 30 books, which I'm going to share with you. That's a lot of books. But it's basically, I sort of go in spurts to the used bookstore. I had only gone to the used bookstore twice before I volunteered and before I helped out. And I'd gone, I think in March is when I found out I was here. And I went twice, and both times, I mean, it was within a 2-week period. I bought about 10 books over the span of both trips. And I hadn't gone since this last time, although they were very happy to have me. I was just about the only volunteer that wasn't a friend of the family or family, and so they were really happy I was there, and I had a lot of fun doing it. I was mostly up at the we had a desk with the cash drawer, and I would take cash. I helped count the books, figure out what the totals were, because sometimes they were weird because different things cost different amounts of money, and I had to remember, what does everything cost? And so I would organize a few things occasionally, but for the most part I was at the desk, and it was really fun. And I had a person next to me, which I made a friend. It's so awesome. I don't really have any friends here, so it's really awesome that I made a friend. And so yeah, they were doing this huge sale, and I saw the books all day, and I thought I was only going to buy some books on Friday, like I bought 13 books on Friday, and I was like, okay, I'll buy a few more books on Saturday. And then I got home and I realized how many books Christina Dodd had, and so I wrote a whole list, and I bought 17 books on Saturday. I only spent $9.50 out of my pocket, and that was all outside because it was separate from the inside. And then I spent about $25 in gift certificate. I still have about $21 left that I can spend at some time in the future, but I'm probably not going to go back to the used bookstore for a couple of months at least. I have quite a few books, and I really don't have much of a reason to go back now for a while until I find a new author that I'm interested in looking for. But yeah, so I wanted to share the books I got. I don't know how interesting it'll be, but these are some titles. If you find a title that you've really wanted to know about, or that you like, you want somebody else's opinion on it, let me know, and I can review that before I review some of the others. Or if you notice there's a title by one of these authors that you like, but you don't see that I have it, let me know what it is, and I can see if I can pick it up. Or I might have it, and it might just be on my bookshelf, because I do have some of these authors' books already on my bookshelf. It just wasn't part of my haul. Alright, well, let's start. So the first one I got a lot of Christina Dodd's books because I've enjoyed her books. They're usually a one-time read for me, but I enjoy them. And so this way I bought a lot of books, but I can read them and then return them. There are a few books I really did like of hers and I've kept, but you know, most of them I'll probably return, but, you know, I'll do my reviews of them as I get to them. And this is Christina Dodd's Candle in the Window. This is actually her very first novel. And so I was very interested to read it to see what her writing style was like, you know, back. This was from 1991. So I was very curious to see how it compared to her other books. And about halfway through this one, and this will be, I'll be reviewing this soon, hopefully this week or possibly next week, but, you know, I will get to it at some point. And then I got Julia London's A Courtesan Scandal. And this one seemed very familiar to me, but it was one of the ones on sale outside. It was a $2 one. And I got home and I realized I already had it. I have a new copy of it. And unfortunately, they write no trade on the bottom for the ones they don't want back, so I can't take it back to my used bookstore. But I'll probably give it to somebody. I do like Julia London, that's why I bought it. And I'll keep my new copy, and you know, if I read that and I don't want to keep it, I'll give that copy to the used bookstore. And so I'll either give this to somebody or I'll donate it to Goodwill or Salvation Army to somebody who'll take it. But yeah, it looks familiar, but you know, hey, cheap books, I'll buy it anyway. I got Julie Garwood, The Lion's Lady. I have one book of hers. Well, I have a lot more now, I'll show you, but I had one book of hers before I bought all these other ones, and she was highly recommended to me by the people in the used bookstore, and this was another one that was outside, was on sale, and so I decided to pick it up. You know, it's cheap, I'll pick it up, see if I like it. I haven't read any of her stuff yet, and I think I bought like 5 or 6 of her books this weekend, so hopefully I like her. Otherwise, that'll be interesting. I picked up just one Harlequin, and the reason I picked up a Harlequin is because this one is by Nalini Singh, and she does a bunch of paranormal romance books, and she was recommended to me, and I have the first book of her first series. I believe it's her first series, and so I want to read that, and I figured if I like it, it'll be good to have another one of her books. It was 50 cents, you know, it's not a big deal if I don't like it. It's short, it was cheap, you know, it'd be a good time. I got Christina Dodd apparently is doing paranormal romance as well, and I find it very interesting. It's interesting to see how people can write cross-genre, but I want to try it out. This is Scent of Darkness, and then Touch of Darkness. And these are the first two. I think there's 4 in this series, and then there's like 4 in the next paranormal series that she has. But I figured I'd pick these up and try them. I do like paranormal romance, depending on, well, I'm a little picky about it, but I do like it. So I figured I'd try it out and see how it is. Christina Dodd, The Prince Kidnaps a Bride. Christina Dodd, The Barefoot Princess. Christina Dodd, Taken by the Prince. There's a big princess prince theme I find with a lot of her books. Christina Dodd, In My Wildest Dreams. I've actually already read this one, and I didn't realize because I have it on my Nook. But I remembered that I really liked it, and I read the back, and I was thinking, this sounds really familiar, but I also remember that it was one that I liked, and I don't remember a lot of the storyline that goes in it. With most romance novels, they don't usually remember the specifics. You know, that's just kind of how it goes. You don't really get super invested and you don't really remember. But I'll reread this one and do a review of it because I really did like it. And so I'm actually not that sad that I picked it up. So that is okay. Christina Dodd, Someday My Prince. Christina Dodd, The Runaway Princess. And Christina Dodd, Treasure of the Sun. Now, these were all of the books I picked up on Friday, and the reason I have them separated from the other ones is because I have an Excel spreadsheet where I put in all of the books I've read or I own, and I put, you know, if I've liked them, disliked them, do I still have them, do I not have them. Maybe I should have brought it with me because I would have picked up a couple of duplicates, but that's okay. But I'm keeping these separate because I haven't put in the larger bag of books, mostly because I've been lazy. And yeah, so I still have to put those ones in, but these are the ones I put in, and I will have to read these at some point in the future. Sorry, the large tower of books wants to fall over. Okay, stay. Alright, so now I have this large bag of books. This one is Madeline Hunter, Sinful and Satin. And I picked this one up. Well, for one thing, the cover was pretty, and I thought, okay, you know, it's a more modern one. And the story sounds interesting. Sort of a woman, her mother basically ran a brothel, and she was trained as a courtesan whore person, but she doesn't want to do that, and she runs away. But a gentleman who lived at the brothel, comes and finds her, and I don't know how it's going to play out, but it sounded interesting, and again, it was a cheap one, and I was very interested in it. This is Celeste Bradley, The Duke Next Door. And I haven't read any of her stuff. I haven't read any Madeline Hunter stuff either. But I typically like the ones with dukes in them. I don't know why that is. But, you know, I kind of read it. It sounds somewhat interesting. And, you know, I figured that way I give another author a try. This way, it's always good if you can go on a big sale and just find authors you haven't read before, especially ones that seem to be fairly modern. Like, you know, I can tell that Celeste Bradley and Madeline Hunter are modern authors, you know, within the past 5 or 6 years, obviously. So they probably have other books. And so I can tell if I want to pick up any more of theirs or if, you know, nope, I don't like them. So that's always good. Okay, so this book, I have a really hard time keeping a straight face whenever I see it. It's by Christina Dodd. And the title is The Greatest Lover in All England. And this is the cover. And I can't get over it. I think the title has something to do with the fact that there's a theater troupe and, you know, it's maybe the title of a play sort of thing. I'm actually really happy I picked this one up. There was another copy that had a different picture on it. It was more of just sort of a design on it rather than a picture. And the description was a little different. Same characters, you know, same basic premise, but they described it differently, and I didn't like it. I actually put it back. But I decided to look at this one just because it was the same title, but the picture made me laugh. And I started reading the back, and I was like, oh, this sounds different. And so it made it actually sound more interesting because I like her books, but the other copy made it sound really dumb, so I didn't want to get it. So that's why when you're making description for books, I don't know if anybody's going to be watching this that makes description for books, but make them good. So yeah, so I got that one. This one is Christina Dodd, A Well-Pleasured Lady. And they also have a picture on the inside. You know, like, oh, yes. The pictures always make me laugh. That's actually why, for the longest time, I wouldn't pick up romance novels. I didn't start reading any until Mary Baylog, A Secret Pearl, because that one was it was pink and it had some pearls on the front of it, but there was no, like, ridiculous picture. And I could never pick up the ones with ridiculous pictures because it seems so stupid. And, of course, I was young, and, you know, you get in that transition when girls start wanting to read romance novels, and so I had to pick up one that wasn't quite so crazy. This is Christina Dodd, Outrageous. This is also another one of her early ones, I believe. This is Julie Garwood, Guardian Angel. Julie Garwood, The Gift. Julie Garwood, Castles. Julie Garwood, Ransom. And let's see. This is Christina Dodd, A Well-Favored Gentleman. This is the sequel to A Well-Pleasured Lady, and the picture inside is even more ridiculous. Yeah. Not that I'm super complaining or anything, but it's so ridiculous. I looked at it and I was just like, okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I think I would have picked it up anyway if I'd seen that, but it just makes it funny. Julie Garwood, The Wedding. Like I said, I haven't actually read any of her books, so I'm hoping that I really like them. Because if not, it's going to be interesting. This is Christina Dodd, Castles in the Air. And this is actually the sequel to the one I'm reading right now, Candle in the Window. I didn't realize it was a sequel. And so I'm actually happy I picked it up. I kind of read the back of it, and I didn't realize it was a sequel, but I put it on my list as one that I needed to pick up, so I grabbed it. Let's see. Christina Dodd, Scandalous Again. Super shiny cover. I just have the really shiny covers. This one is by Lois Greiman, and I'd already picked up all of the Christina Dodd ones that were on my list, and I couldn't find any of the other authors I liked. Mary Blaylock, I pretty much have all of her books, and there weren't any ones I didn't have. I don't have all of them, but there weren't any of these bookstore that I didn't have. And any of the other authors, I already had those, and so they recommended Lois Greiman and said, oh, well, they gave me a couple of different ones to choose from that were the beginnings of series, and I picked The Princess and Her Pirate, and again, the really ridiculous cover. Let's see. Christina Dodd, Some Enchanted Evening. Christina Dodd, One Kiss From You, and this cover is ridiculously shiny. It's pink, and it's metallic, and it blinds me. And the last one I picked up was Julie Garwood, The Secret, and the lady that was helping me at the bookstore told me that this is her absolute favorite book, and that if I don't read it by the next time that I come in there, she's going to be mad at me. And so I figure, since I haven't read any of Julie Garwood's books, I will start with this one, because, and it's at the beginning of the series too, so I'll start with this one, because if I don't like it, then at least I've read the one that I was told to read. Not that anything bad's going to happen to me if I don't read it, but, I'll read this one first. Hopefully I like the other ones. The one I do have, The Bride, I looked through it, and it looked like it would be something I would like, so hopefully I like them. If not, most of the ones by Julie Garwood I can return. The Lion's Lady, the one I picked up at the outside sale, it has no trade on it, so I can't turn that one back in, but most of the other ones I can. So it won't be, too bad. It won't be too bad if I don't like these. But yeah, so those are the 30 books that I picked up this weekend. I didn't realize I was going to pick up quite so many. I really didn't. I didn't realize how much Christina Dodd had written, and yeah, typically I like to read her, and then usually they're not a lot that I want to reread, but I like picking them up. So I have good quick reads I can get through, do reviews about, turn the books back in, and then go on to something else. Just a quick read, in between Dance of Dragons and any of the other larger books I read. Because there are some larger books I really do want to read to review, and some books I haven't read yet. I have the Jacqueline Carey Kushiel's Dart series. And I have the first two of that, and I really want to read those, but they're almost as big as the Song of Ice and Fire books, and so I want to have something else to read in the meantime while I'm trying to slog through those books. But yeah, surprisingly, the first day I got back with 13 books. My husband, he kind of grumbled a little bit, but I said, oh yeah, about 13 books, and he's like, just a heavy sigh, like, oh, fine. And then I got back on Saturday with 17 more books, and he didn't really say anything. I said, yeah, I kind of came home with 17 more books, and he's just like, oh, okay. He was having a really good day. Like, he got to sleep in, because on Saturdays, usually we get up and I make him go shopping or whatnot, and he got to sleep in, do his own thing, so he was really happy. I got home, and he was like, oh, you got books, okay. And it's not like, he really doesn't have a problem with me getting books so much. It's just he would like me to read the books I have. But when you've got so many books on your bookshelf that have been there for a little while, even though you might not have read them, you don't necessarily want to pick them up. You want something new or something old, but something you haven't read before. And so I can go through this way. And then I have other things to choose from. I have a couple of different authors to choose from. I have some Tessa Dare books on my bookshelf that I really want to read, but I read a lot of hers recently, and so I want to switch it up. So yeah, hopefully this was interesting. I know this is a long video, just a used book haul, but I just wanted to share with you what I got. And like I said, if you saw something here that you would like me to review sooner than some of the others, let me know. If you see, if you know of any books by these authors or similar authors, and you'd like me to try to pick them up and read them, let me know what the title is, and I'll see if I can find it. Chances are I'm just going to look at the used bookstore, because right now I have the gift certificate, so it'd be free for me. You know, being unemployed, free stuff is good. Yeah. And so yeah, so just let me know. And yeah, if I do more used book hauls in the future, which I probably will, they won't be this big. You know, I don't usually pick up this many books, but this was sort of this sale was sort of a fluke. They want to do it annually, but it hasn't been annual. It's usually every few years. It's just a matter of them getting it organized and having the time to do it. So I probably won't be doing a haul this big for a while, for at least a year, hopefully. Oh my god, so many books. All right. Well, I will see you guys later, and hopefully I'll be getting a review out soon this week. I'll probably do a vlog later in the week if I don't do any reviews. And yeah, talk to you guys later. Bye.